Welcome to Inside the Force. I'm Greg Grunberg, a.k.a. Snap Wexley.
It is a period of Star Wars mania, as new movies, comic books, novels, and TV shows populate the system. Fueled by their love and passion for the galaxy far, far away, two exceptional geeks tap into hundreds of holocrons in order to bring you the knowledge and insight of all things Star Wars. Come and join them as they go inside the Force.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello everybody.
Welcome back to a fun-filled episode.
Yes.
We've got a lot, as always, to talk about. Every week there's all kinds of stuff to talk about. We got a couple episodes of Rebels to review. Definitely some movie news to talk about, as well as some little quick reviews on a certain novel that I started.
Yeah. Indeed.
What are you? Which one are you in the middle of still?
I'm still slowly getting through Aftermath.
Oh, right.
I am gonna, because I was doing Aftermath and Bloodline. I'm going to try to focus and just hammer out Aftermath.
The first book of
the first
Aftermath.
one of Aftermath, and I mean it's weird because I'm like halfway through it. Oh, a little over halfway maybe at this point. I'm like, it's still, the plot is still not like, to me, like in full gear. Like it kind of is, but kind of, it's still like, I think, piecing together. But yeah, that's a quick review.
Got it. Okay, so let's go right into it. Let's see whatever movie news we got going on.
Well, episode 8, I guess a little bit with developments of Carrie Fisher that we can talk a little bit about later. Whether or not she'll be, well, her role with 8 is already done, I guess. There's no news about whether or not they're going to retailor her role for 8. Some stuff with 9 that we'll talk about later, but other news for 8, really, there's really nothing going on with 8. No releases. I mean, they're pretty, as with, so far they've done with all these other movies, they're having a tight grip on releasing anything.
Yes.
Which is awesome. I'm super glad about that. And talking to my buddy Cody about when we'll see anything for it, and I'm sure now as their MO is not releasing anything until Celebration, or just
Celebration
at spring before the movie is released. So crazy. I mean, it's a crazy marketing, totally different than what is normally done with these huge movies. Like even Force Awakens,
usually years in year in advance.
Yeah, even Force Awakens was like little over a year before we got some stuff. So Rogue One, we didn't get it until April before, and I'm sure we'll do the same for episode 8. So be patient, everybody.
Well, I think a part of it also is because Rogue One is still making a massive amount of money in the theaters.
Yeah.
To date, which is right now January 14th, today the 14th? Yeah.
Yes.
So to date, it's at $925 million worldwide.
That's awesome.
So 488 domestic, and it's picked up 437 entering the weekend overseas.
That's almost $1 billion already.
Almost $1 billion.
It's not even been out for a month.
That's the month this weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nuts.
Yes. So it'll probably, depending on what it gains this weekend, which it's been gaining. I mean, last weekend was New Year's. Well, no, it wasn't New Year's weekend. No, last weekend domestically it took in about 22 million. So if it does that, it'll probably drop off there too a little bit. I mean, it'll probably settle at around $1 billion, and 75 million away from $1 billion. So
yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, I think like Force Awakens, right? We didn't get anything from Rogue One until close to Celebration last year was in July.
Yeah.
But I feel like April was around the time that we got it, and that's when the time Force Awakens kind of fell out of the box office.
The Blu-ray was around that same time as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of good. I would expect that trend to continue.
So, yeah.
But with, Rogue One's already done, as you just said, so now moving on to Han Solo. movie, Woody Harrelson is confirmed to be in the Han Solo movie as Han Solo's mentor. What an awesome role. We talked a little bit about this last week.
Yes, I mentioned him. What did I call him? Strider?
You thought the character would
his
be,
name.
Yeah.
His name from the books.
It's close to that. But so, and Woody Harrelson's even gone on to give a little quote, a little blurb about what his character's like. And it's, as we all thought it would be, just this kind of scoundrel criminal, yet likable. This very likable criminal. Scoundrel-esque, very Han Solo-esque, as we can expect, because I'm sure Han Solo learns a lot of traits from the Woody Harrelson character. And Woody Harrelson is perfect for this role. Like he can do. I mean, he's played so many great villain kind of roles and hero kind of roles and a mixture kind of roles where he's funny, he's kind of scary. He's both. Like he has great range, and I think this is a perfect role for me. I can definitely see him having a lot of fun with this kind of like rough and gruff, tough kind of guy. So very excited for that, and it would be very exciting to see if they do copy him or mimic him after this character that you read about in the Han Solo books.
It's Shrike.
Shrike.
Okay.
So
Shrike. Shrike.
That
So
be awesome?
I mean, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like this. If it's the guy that's kind of looked after him, or kind of the guy that he's learned from, that would be very, very similar to the guy in the book. And if so, I mean, that's that'd be pretty cool, because those stories are pretty good books. I'm sure they have to be pulling from those.
Yeah, you'd think so. Other than that, there's nothing else with Han Solo.
No.
But we will be getting that very soon. They will be shooting next month, unless they've changed that. That's what I've kept hearing and reading, is shooting February, just kind of this beginning of the year, basically. So they're going to be shooting very, very soon. Exciting. Very exciting. We haven't heard anything from Emilia Clarke yet, have we, about her role?
No.
I mean, Donald Glover's talked a little bit about his, and Alden Ehrenreich has talked about it, Woody Harrelson, and Emilia Clarke, she hasn't said anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure she'll be.
I think she. I can't remember if there was I'm pretty sure there was obviously a female lead in those three books, but I don't really remember too much.
Yeah.
But yeah. So in regards to a little bit, I did want to mention that if anybody hadn't seen it, was the that official statement that they put out about the whole Leia thing.
Yes. So let's kind of answer some questions about episode 9.
Yes. So obviously a lot of rumors are going around. We even talked about it last week on what is going to happen with Leia's character. Mm-hmm. And not only in episode 9, or even the research or episode 8, but, now that they've shown her in episode 4, would they possibly even do that? See, here's the thing is, even if Carrie was still alive, like, would they even do something like that still? Like Tarkin,
yeah.
If they decided to do a movie, prior to Rogue One, during this whole, Empire era, right? I mean, in my mind, Carrie gave the okay for episode 4. I wouldn't.
Rogue One.
Rogue One. I wouldn't see why she wouldn't have done it if they said, because obviously there's some rumors too about possible prequel that would possibly Jyn Erso or either Cassian.
Yeah.
And then maybe Leia would show up in that, But I guess people are speculating that there's rumors going around that Disney is trying to secure those permissions now from the estate. Well, apparently not. According to StarWars.com, they put out a statement yesterday saying that, I'll just read this real fast. We don't normally respond to fan or press speculation, but there is a rumor circulating that we would like to address. We want to assure our fans that Lucasfilm has no plans to digitally recreate Carrie Fisher's performance as Princess Leia or General Leia Organa. Carrie Fisher was and is and always will be part of the Lucasfilm family. She was our princess, our general, and more importantly, our friend. We are still hurting from her loss. We cherish her memory and legacy as Princess Leia and will always strive to honor everything she gave to Star Wars. So that kind of puts that to bed, I guess.
For now.
For now. Of course, that just says we don't it says right now
we don't have plans.
We don't have Lucasfilm has no plans to digitally recreate. I mean,
yeah. Which
plans change.
Again, for now.
Yeah.
They could just not have decided on something,
Plans definitely change.
I can totally see and respect people not wanting that to happen. But I from my opinion, I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't expect them to be like her in like half the scenes. Like if she had like a huge role in episode 9, I don't expect them to do that same level of presence, but with a CG Leia. Like I would think, just for the sake of for the sake of the film and believability, like just they probably are going to dumb down her role, just reduce her role a little bit,
right?
And CG her for those few scenes, which would be unfortunate, but I feel like it would be necessary for the story to be concluded. So I'm okay with that. And if they want to make a prequel Leia thing, again, I don't think they should do, because I don't think it's ready yet for a main character to be a complete CG, like a human, complete CG human. So like if they were to do a prequel to Rogue One, I don't know if they would ever do that, but I'm okay with continuing that, because I think they should do it if it fits and if it looks great. They are allowed to do that with Han Solo and Luke.
Yeah.
If they ever want to do like a in between movie, I don't know, like a adapt the Battlefront book or something like that, set in between 4 and 5, and a little cameo of Luke Skywalker, a little cameo of so and so else. Like, I think they should be allowed to do that if it fits.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it just definitely doesn't change the fact that, again, plans do change, and I just think, in the what, three or 4 years we've been doing the show, this is the first I remember ever them coming out with a statement like this. So there's something must have been said, or they started seeing something on Facebook or Twitter or social media or something that kind of struck a nerve that we're like, okay, we gotta,
and I think
we gotta put this to bed.
I do think part of that is because it is about the death of one of their own,
right?
So I think that is a little different.
Which I think it's cool. I think it's good for them to do that.
Absolutely.
Just in case, their rumors start turning into speculation, and speculation start turning into people believing things, that aren't really true. So it's good for them to actually just knock it out and put it to bed for now, and we'll address it later. But that's
because
good for them.
And they have to come up with a they have to come up with a plan to do with it, because obviously they have to change it somehow. It's just right now it doesn't seem like CG is in the works. But we shall see.
Well, they're constantly just sitting there talking about it too.
Yeah, I mean they got a year, or so, give or take some weeks, but to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what else? Movie wise,
that's pretty much it. There's really nothing else going on.
Are you planning on seeing Rogue One again, or?
I'm still gonna try to take my wife Sarah. She hasn't seen it yet. She wants to go see it now, but I will have to try to see it at least once. One more time.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to see it one more time, but I don't know. This could be. This might be a little tougher, but I wouldn't mind. I mean, it's not an IMAX close to here, but
not like a true like the 70 millimeter format, whatever. Like they got the digital IMAX up in Louisville.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with not seeing an IMAX.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, I could see it, but I'm not gonna. I'm okay with saving the extra money to wait,
right?
Because is 8 Or is it 9 that's going to be shot? I think 9 is going to be shot pretty much all IMAX.
Right.
So that will be
Incredible.
That'll be what I will go see. I'll drive to Indianapolis to go see it in their IMAX theater. That would be incredible.
Incredible. Okay, so of course, since we have actually recording this later on a Saturday night, we've actually seen Star Wars Rebels this past Saturday, and then there's one that we had the mid-season return, which was last week, which debuted the character of Saul Guerrera,
at least in the Rebels universe.
At least in the Rebels universe, correct. So this is now the third time we've seen him. Mm-hmm. One being Clone Wars, second being Rogue One, and now in Star Wars Rebels. Mm-hmm. Very, very. It was a two-parter.
I actually didn't know that.
You didn't.
I was so surprised.
You said you were starting to watch the second part, right?
Yeah, I was just watching for a good 5 minutes, thinking like, this is the longest flash forward. Like I was thinking they're gonna go back 2 days earlier or something like that. Like, I missed something, but no. Two-parter. It's awesome, incredible.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I get. What was it called? It was
Ghosts of Geonosis.
Ghosts of Geonosis. Yeah, I was just looking at
Part 1, Part 2. But I think they're counting it as one episode. Are they? Because when I was seeing it on IMDb or anything like that, it lists it as one episode.
Oh, really?
Like I don't know what number 11 or 12, but
it's part. I mean, when they showed it on at least on my episode guide, it was part 1, part 2.
Yeah. I don't know if that counts. Is that 16 episodes this season or 18 or?
They've been doing
16?
16, I think.
So I don't know if that part 2 counts as part of the 16, like as a separate.
Yeah, very true. I don't know.
Or if they're doing it as one, which I think they're doing it as one. I'm thinking, but I don't know.
Well, this Warhead, which was tonight, is episode 13.
Okay, so I feel like Geonosis should have been episode 11.
14.
Or this past one, I mean, the last week's. Tonight was 13?
Tonight was 14.
14, okay.
So there's 12, 13? I think it was 12, 13.
Perhaps.
Yes, because episode 11 was Visions and Voices.
Okay, so the count is 2.
So the count is 2 half-hour ones. Anyway, so Ghost of Geonosis. So very, very interesting. Now we've been to Geonosis before in Star Wars Rebels. Mm-hmm. I want to say that was
last season.
Was that season 1? Or was it season 2?
Felt like season 1, but I think it was season 2.
Okay, I don't know for sure.
Yeah,
but when they they were there last, there were remains.
Yeah,
orbiting.
Yeah,
Geonosis, which it was really neat because you're like, oh my gosh, that's where the Death Star was. Mm-hmm. And actually, did we know that yet at that point? I can't remember.
We knew it the episode when it first aired. Yeah.
Did we know that's where the Death Star was?
I think did they say it in Recon? We knew it after the fact.
See, I don't remember how we knew. But I think you're right though. I think you're right. I think there's something that was mentioned that was the remains of they had just built some weapon there or something like that when they moved it. So this episode obviously is later. A little later, and then now our Saul Guerrera's team has been there went there obviously investigate what has been going on. So our Rebel squad, Phoenix Squadron, gets there and to find out what happened to his team. So the big thing here is Saul somehow. I mean, he's heard rumors, or he's researched enough to know that the Empire was building something there. Mm-hmm. So, and I think you find out later, either in expanded the books and stuff like that, or that his team and his pursuit of the truth of what happened to Geonosis is really why they ended up moving the Death Star from there. Now, it's not really clear, I don't think, of when they moved it.
Yeah.
But this is obviously a couple years before Rogue One, so it's definitely been somewhere else. But I think it was there for a long time. I think it was there for a while.
Yeah.
Because the Geonosians were the ones building it, or helping build it, right? So we get introduced to Saul, and obviously he's much different than he is from Rogue One.
He's different, yeah, as in definitely much healthier.
Correct.
Better physical shape, not so wounded. And it seems more his mind.
Talking all weird.
Know the truth.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's definitely, his mind seems to be more stable in this one, but it's still very much like the militarist, the very extremist Saw Gerrera that we kind of have heard and seen and read about now. And it was incredible. Like, I absolutely loved. First of all, it's Forrest Whitaker.
Yes,
voicing
it was
and that was
yes,
great.
It was Forrest Whitaker, and
just to see him, how he progressed from Clone Wars to now, and what he becomes in Rogue One, it's fantastic. It's just truly, the story group is just hitting home runs.
Yes.
So many. It's great.
But it is amazing to now finally get more of a sense of the actual true beginnings of the Alliance, because up until now it's been somewhat assumed that Mon Mothma and Bail and a couple senators are the one that formed this. I mean, you had no idea this rebel extremist you saw in Clone Wars would actually lead, apparently, to the Alliance. Because again, in Star Wars Rebels right now, currently in this episode, there is no Rebel Alliance yet. Sure. There are cells, right? And in one of the recons, Filoni even was quoted saying that he was the reason why there is an alliance. So now, whether or not he helped form it necessarily, because it sounds like because of his extreme tactics, that maybe they got together like, okay, we need to form, instead of doing this, extreme,
more organized.
Yes.
As if like we're going to be the new government, so we gotta act like a new actual government, like an organization.
Instead of supporting this guy going out there just freelancing basically and doing things without order, we need to come together. So maybe it's either by him or because of him that there is this alliance with Mothma and Bail and some of those other senators you saw around Rogue One. But the fact that he was part of it and knows about it and is still trying to fight against the Empire, because like you said, I think last episode we were talking about is how, even when he was fighting the Separatists, he was still somewhat fighting the Empire. He's still, now it's just, instead of battle droids, it's stormtroopers, it's like, so he's still fighting the fact of not being controlled. And this character, if you haven't seen it, I mean, this character is kind of the essence of who he is, who he's become since the Clone Wars, and who he's not yet become in Rogue One, which is a very broken man. He's very much holding his own and really determined to figure out what's going on. So
it got pretty dark too. He was the links that he was going to go to with that Geonosian.
Yes.
Click clack.
Click clack,
shoot the egg, and it got pretty scary there for a little bit. And then they had the nice little moment at the end. It's like, come to your senses, nice TV show moment. But it was very great. And the action in it with the rocket troopers, and just seeing more of the tunnels of Geonosis and getting more of the environment and how they work, how the bugs work. Was awesome, and they were so close to finding out the Death Star. The bug was literally drawing.
It was
in
drawing
the
Death Star.
It's the
egg.
No, it's the canister. Or it's the moon. It's gonna be the Saturn and the rings. No, or the rings of Geonosis. No, it's the Death Star. You guys,
it is the Death Star.
They don't know.
But they can't. They can't find out, right?
They can't. And that's why, like, when they got the canisters on the ship, they got to take it for evidence for the Senate. I was thinking, like, something's got to happen here because they don't know about that. That would totally change the movie. Like,
yeah, it would.
So something's gonna happen here, and then something does happen. So it was great episodes. They were. I mean, it still. I mean, there's pretty much no holes left of the Death Star construction. There's still some left over, and like you said, like exactly when it was moved from Geonosis. Like we still got to figure out that. But this episode filled a little bit more of those gaps, but still, there's still a couple answers there that need to be given. And
it's good to know that the Geonosians weren't fully wiped out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, at the end, it almost seemed like that bug click wasn't even the only one left. Like some of them even went further underground.
That's possible.
They kind of raised that question, but it wasn't confirmed. But I was reading some articles about they do come back because they're in Darth Vader, the comic. There's the Geonosian Queen. The bug queen that Vader, which I don't remember really reading it. I remember it now, but when I was reading it, I forgot. But
I did forget
Vader
about
goes,
that.
he sees a queen, basically, and the queen's like,
well, heck, that's the dang egg,
that's
probably.
The egg. That's what I'm thinking.
That's got to be.
Because I think they say it's a queen egg.
They say it's a queen egg.
Yeah, so that queen egg, I'm pretty sure...
ends up being a Vader comic?
Is in the Vader comic where she's like...
Oh, man.
I think she's like... Was she like... It was like a hybrid of like Geonosians and like... battle droids. It was something really strange. I have to read it again. It was kind of a weird little arc.
While since I read that.
But
that's a good point. I remember a little bit of that. Wow. That's interesting to know.
Yeah.
That's interesting to read.
It was pretty exciting. And just seeing a different side of the Geonosians, like they're not, I mean, you think that they're just all bad guys, all evil. And they kind of are. They're just a primitive, brutal, yet very intelligent species.
Yes.
But we saw the click clack. We kind of liked him, and he seemed like a helpless little creature, and he's still very dangerous. It was just an interesting dynamic. With the Geonosians.
And then again in Rebels Recon, it was even further, somewhat confirmed, I guess, with Filoni. How, I mean, he does lay it out that the original plans of the Death Star came from the Geonosians.
Yeah,
I mean.
They just didn't know how to do
the weapon part. They just didn't know how to do the weapon part.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So that's what Krennic was tasked to do. And Galen's the one that discovered it and figured it out. And they knew Kybers was the way. They just didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Who would have guessed? I mean, who would have guessed? Everybody hates on episode 2, but that species is a vital part of the original trilogy.
And that's why I love Rogue One. It really does, I think, do a good job of connecting the prequels to the originals. And we were kind of thinking that Disney's trying to maybe just put a blanket over the prequels and think it's not even there, but Rogue One definitely brings it to light with characters like Bail Organa, Saw Gerrera's that prequel era. And
bringing the woman that played Mon Mothma,
of course, and that was.
I mean, even she wasn't in episode 3 technically.
Yeah,
but she played that character.
But the prequels, man, they're very important.
Well, and again, yeah, and like I think just the same way that Rogue One and Rebels are changing the way we see the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. I think it's really starting to, in a sense, validate what happens in the prequels. Even though, because you can't necessarily, I guess, look at the prequels a different way because there's nothing before that to change the view because they are the beginning. Those are the beginning stages, right?
Sure.
So why things took place and why things happened, that's the kind of things that are getting kind of brought into the attention.
It's definitely connecting. It's like it's not just some random thing like people say, oh, you could not have said any of that. You could not have made any of those movies and the rest of the films would make total sense. That's a point of view. But like you said, it validates it. It shows why we saw the plans and it makes a strong connection to Rebels, to Rogue One, to A New Hope. And it's all about the Death Star. It's all about how it came to be. You know, it's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like we wouldn't never have known the origins without the prequels, of the origins of the Death Stars without the prequels.
And it's just exactly right.
And we've said before, but it's just incredible the transition from Separatists to the Empire, where like the Republic became the Empire, and yet. Going back to last week, we mentioned how Palpatine even said maybe we're fighting for the wrong side. It's like the Separatists were in a way doing what's right, and so the Republic. I'm kind of talking in tangents here, but it's just it's incredible. Like it's just, I think it actually is incredible. The prequels and the politics side of it, which people hate on so much, but to me, that is it's a huge part of Star Wars. Actually, the politics side of it. And,
it is.
And now learning more and more about how Palpatine played both sides. And
and that's the thing, is that the politics are greatly there also in the original trilogy. It's just that the main story is following the rebels now, mainly instead of the actual government, right? In episode 1, 2, and 3, it's mainly about the Republic and about the Jedi, which is very political. I mean, it's very political. How the government's run, how the Jedi works with the government, because that's the whole thing with when the Clone Wars started. It's like these guys aren't soldiers, but they were put in that position because Palpatine needed a way to wipe them out. So it's like, there's a lot of reasoning that's going. People might not like it, whatever the scripts or the actors, but I mean the story of it is always. I'll defend the story forever, that there's meaning in everything that happened in those events that led up to obviously the entire what we get from the entire saga, basically. So, but very, very interesting. So we get into a kind of a different type of episode. This past episode of Rebels called Warhead, where we see the Empire dispatching, instead of probe droids, actual droids
to probe
and find out where the rebels are. So they land on certain planets and investigate, and one has landed on I guess it's called Chopper Base.
Yeah, but I forget the planet's name.
Yeah, okay.
I always forget it.
And of course the crew leaves, except Zeb, leaving Zeb behind and Chopper behind. They encounter this thing. So what do you think of this episode?
I mean, it's definitely a filler, well, mostly filler episode, but it was quite. I liked it a lot, actually. It is because I love. They've done a great job at making the unfortunately secondary characters of Chopper and Zeb actually very important, and you like them a lot. Chopper is hilarious, and up to this point, I'm holding Chopper up really close and level with R2-D2 and BB-8 as those kind of little droids, and I love them all almost equally now. So it was very fun to see them in their own kind of episode, and even this new logistics droid that they've got that they introduced a while back. He's hilarious. I heard someone on Twitter referred to him as the Alan Rickman droid, which I think is hilarious because it does sound like him. Yeah. But it's fun. It's entertaining, and it was exciting. So it wasn't anything that was shattering, and like the previous 2 episodes and even all the Maul episodes that came before it, but it was still fun. It was still really cool, and at the end was crazy how they took a blow to the Empire, and then at the very end you did see Thrawn kind of reveal that his plan's actually working and he's getting closer and closer to the rebels, and that was actually pretty neat. But still, like, I want to see Thrawn do more stuff. Like, they're really pacing themselves with Thrawn, which is good and it's bad. Like, I want to see him do something, but I love the journey it's taking me to get Thrawn to what we saw in the mid-season trailer was like him actually finally doing something. But I guess we'll get there. So overall, it was a good episode. Nice filler, very good filler episode, I think.
Yes, I agree. I think, at least the sense that I got this entire episode is that this is actually, I think, Thrawn's way of finding out who his mole is.
I thought he was going to do something at the end and say something like that.
Well, I think he knows,
because it was almost like he told only certain people could have told the rebels about those droids in the first place.
Correct.
And so now he knows, like, it could be Callus. I thought he was going to say something like that at first, too.
He's getting there. I think
Yeah.
he's going to get there. But I think I think what he said was now he knows that one of the planets that it was sent to, he knows the ones that they were sent to.
Yeah.
So he knows that one of those is where they are.
Yeah.
And that obviously somebody tipped him off. So that's his whole strategy. I think he's even though he's been fairly minimal in this season so far, I feel like just each step it's leading to a finale that I think we're going to be. He's going to be surprising to the Rebels, I think, in this season, and I think
that's the thing with him. He's such a planner. Like he's just the best strategist, and he's got the plan. And it's like everything he's not surprised by hardly anything that happens, and he knows the next step and the step before that, and he's prepared.
So I didn't see if there was a one. I guess there's a new one next week. Is there a new one next week?
Oh, I actually didn't notice a clip at all, but I'll take a look.
While Case is doing that, I'll move on to the book that I'm actually started this week, the audio book that I'm listening to. I moved on to Heir of the Jedi by
Yes,
Kevin Hearn.
Kevin Hearn.
Yeah, Kevin Hearn. So I'm now kind of catching up to I guess, in the way they were released. I did A New Dawn and Tarkin, and then Heir of the Jedi, I think, was the third book that came out. Mm-hmm. So I am reading that now. I'm about 4 or 5 chapters in, I think, already, and it's very interesting. For those of you who haven't read it, it is completely told in the first person of Luke Skywalker. Mm-hmm. It takes place very shortly after, if not right after, episode 4. I think before the comics actually pick up. Mm. So really right in between there, because he literally is still getting over the fact that Obi-Wan is dead. Mm-hmm. Has no connection to the Force or anything like that. He's trying to figure out just what to do and what to do next. But obviously the Rebels are trying to find a new base. So they're kind of scattered. Han is out. Apparently, he even says it in the book. It's funny that Han has already lost the money, that the reward he got in episode 4. Like he had already lost it, and is trying to figure out a way to pay off Jabba the Hutt again.
Yeah.
So
which explains why.
Which he's still going around.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
by episode 5, it's like it's been 3 years, and you think like.
Hadn't he paid him off by now?
Yeah, at the beginning of episode 5, he's trying to leave, like to go pay him off. Like, what have you been doing, man?
The bounty hunter we ran into in Order Mandel changed my mind. It's like
you had this money for 3 years, and you haven't gone to pay him off, but I guess he lost it.
He lost it right away, apparently. So that's just the way he is.
That's great.
But so I will say this. I will spoil this a little bit because if anybody hasn't, spoilers. So fast forward about 5 minutes if you don't hear this, but. The very beginning of the book, first couple chapters, and I don't know if they're going to, I'm not sure how they're going to come back to it, so I don't feel like it's part of the main story, but Luke does come across a Jedi, a deceased Jedi, and his lightsaber. He takes a trip to Rhodia, where there's a Rhodian clan that I think he's trying to help recruit to help the Empire. They've been kind of vocal against the Empire, so they're trying to get their help. And he finds out this Rhodian female that he meets had an uncle that had served in the Clone Wars and was a Jedi and died. But he died. He was wounded, and after Order 66, got into a starship, made it back to Rhodia, but passed on the way there. So when they found him in the ship, he was already dead. They secretly buried him, blah, 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 blah. Luke finds him. Anyway, what's really neat is you find out that his saber was a purple bladed saber,
Yeah.
which is now canon that this was at least the second one that has been, added to the canon.
That's pretty cool.
And he called it Amethysth.
Amethysth.
Amethysth, not purple necessarily. Amethysth with his,
all
which is
fancy.
purple basically.
Yeah.
But he ignites it, and he actually fights this creature with both sabers, his saber and
cool.
this purple saber. But what the most chilling part of this first part of this book, which is awesome, is that she, as in the Rordian, tells Luke that her uncle, I can't remember his name. It was a tough name to say.
I'm trying to find the Jedi. Is that guy? You think? Because
So he's in Rebels, right? Or
he's in Clone Wars. Yeah, because
see, I'm wondering
I
if
feel we remembered some Jedi Rodian from Clone Wars, and I don't know how many of them there are. So I pulled up this one that appeared in Clone Wars called Bala Ropal.
does it say his appearances in Heir of the Jedi?
It doesn't.
Okay, I'll look up his name while you're doing something. But the thing about it is she talks about her uncle, how he was a great pilot, but not as good as Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
And she says to Luke, like, "Are you related to Anakin Skywalker?" And he's like, "Oh my gosh, yes, that's my father." And and she actually didn't. She took a step back almost. Was like, "Well, how could that be? They can't have family or whatever." And he's like, "Well, I'm here." And he couldn't explain it either because he's like, "I don't know. I don't know how it happened. I never met my mother. I don't know, whatever." But it was funny how they somewhat. It was really cool as they talked about. She told a story about how Anakin saved her uncle's life in the Clone Wars. So I was thinking, like, was that in an episode? I can't remember. But she tells him this story, so it's like he now has this story.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, all he said was he fought in the Clone Wars. He had no time to tell him stories. So this is the first time he actually got a glimpse of who he actually was. And it's funny how he says, he was killed by Darth Vader. He tells her this. He was killed by Darth Vader. And so he just has this, now he has this vision of his father in the Clone Wars, a good man, saving people, still thinking that Vader is it's like, it's crazy that, again, going into episode 5 now, I mean, he has this experience that about, that he's found this other lightsaber, that he's heard stories of his father.
Yeah. Then when he finds out Vader's his father, it's just that much more.
I know, right?
Tragic. Like, no.
Yeah.
If I was a great man, you're a horrible man.
Yeah, and she meant, and it's funny because he's thinking like, and again, this is all first person, so he's you don't ever hear the thoughts of the other person, right? You only hear his thoughts.
Yeah.
And he mentions how they get done talking about Anakin, and he says she made a gesture like she was going to start asking about mothers, but I was hoping she wouldn't go. She wouldn't go there because I don't know what I would say because because you think about it, he has no idea his mom's name, right? I mean, no one has told him he was. I mean, Obi-Wan never got a chance to tell him.
Yeah. Oh, Padme
Amidala is your mom. It's like who would know that now? Who would know that now? Bail would, I guess, would he?
Bail would.
Yeah, Bail does. And Yoda. So that's it.
Obi-Wan,
So, but of course, Yoda didn't tell him.
Yeah.
And then Bail didn't get a chance. He never met Bail.
Yeah.
So it's like no one now could tell him who his mom was. So, anyway, I just thought that's a really good book so far. I tell you one thing that I wish would have been so awesome. Like Ahsoka. I wish Mark Hamill narrated this book.
Yeah. He might have done it too.
That would have been so awesome to hear Luke do first person Luke.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder why they didn't pay him to do that, So I just thought that would have been really, really awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, and that's the thing too, is like, because it's first person, like, you're never going to go away from Luke. Like, you know how you can jump around like to know what Vader's doing, it's not going to happen because it's all Luke. So now they're on a mission. He's flying with this other girl trying to get something going and find a new base, all that stuff. So I'm into it. I'm gonna finish it. It's really kind of a short book. It's only about 9 hours on the audio side. So anyway, cool. I'm gonna get the name of that. I'm gonna grab the book and get the name of that Jedi while you. I don't know what else we got besides. There's really not much else going on. I'm trying to think of it. Any other mediums, games. I'm playing Battlefront.
I've been trying to get back into Battlefront myself.
Playing a little bit. I reached rank 40 finally.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, no, 30. I'm at 30.
Oh, okay.
I'm only at 30. I'm trying to get to 40 because then I can change my appearance.
Okay.
I can do either like a scout trooper, or a Rhodian, or and then 50 you can get a Death Trooper. I think when you're 50, I think, right? Wow. Or not Death Trooper. I'm sorry, Shadow Trooper. So. And then I think maybe a Celestian or something like that, and then something else. But anyway,
I'm trying to get back into it, and
then have you done those hut contracts?
I've done one.
Those are hard, man.
It just takes a long time.
Like you got to stick to it. Whatever it is, you have to just keep. Like right now, I have to get 25 heavy blaster kills, so I have to use a heavy blaster every time. Yeah, and I don't like it.
Yeah. You die a lot.
So I'm like, oh well.
Well, I did one. I just did the one for Jen Urso's gun, which is actually an awesome gun. So yeah, the contract was like 30 kills with a pistol, 30 kills with a targeting rifle, 30 something kills, something else with like a grenade. I can't remember what it was, but finally did it all. And got the blaster. Jen's blaster is actually really good. It's a really good gun.
Really?
Yeah, it's like 3,500 credits. And the blaster, it's like it takes over your star cards too. So it's like you have your main weapon, but then like your left bumper is automatically a sniper, and your right bumper is automatically some kind of ion grenade, and then press Y, it's a machine gun. But it's awesome. It's really cool, man.
Yeah,
really fun. But that's pretty much it. I've been playing Scarif. I've been playing all the other little extra DLC maps. It's loads of fun.
So, Hulik.
How do you spell that?
Huulik. Hulik. He's a Rhodian.
He looks strange. Let's see if he appears in anything.
Now, again, one thing, I'm back to the Heir to the Jedi, but one thing also about this, he sees the remains of Hulik, right? So then right away, Luke puts 2 and 2 together that, wait a minute, he didn't die the same way Obi-Wan died. Mm-hmm. Like, Obi-Wan disappeared.
Oh, he's making that
he even mentions it. He says right here, I'll just quote it. He says, we hefted a corner of the slab together and shoved it aside until the top half of Hulik's remains lay revealed. There wasn't much left, but clearly he hadn't passed on to some other state of existence like Obi-Wan. Apart from the bones, there were still fragments of the robe left, a few curling clumps of Harley. So he's not. You can't find him in there?
His first appearance is that book.
So I wanted to find... Yeah, so it says Hulik's lightsaber was designed for a Rhodian hand. It wasn't quite comfortable in my fist. It had a matte black finish to it and an odd slick feeling. I didn't know if it was its original state or if some kind of biological ooze coated it. Pointing it carefully away from us both, I thumbed it on, expecting the power cell to be long depleted by now. But it ripped into life and thrummed with energy, a brilliant amethyst blade. And it's cool because, see, it's cool to read that, but in the audiobook, it's like you hear the...
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, it's awesome. But, I will say, too, the last thing I'll say about this book, in all books, in all mediums that's happening on Star Wars, obviously Rebels doesn't happen, so I can't say it all. But with the books, like when you start an audiobook, it starts just like a movie.
Yeah.
Not like Rogue One started, right? So I started thinking like, man, maybe Rogue One should have started the same way.
I think it probably should have, but
Because there's a crawl in this.
Yeah.
In every novel, there's a crawl, right? There's this one has a 3-paragraph crawl,
yeah,
just like they all do. So I'm like, I started thinking like, yeah, maybe Rogue One should have had a crawl, and I actually wrote a crawl, for Rogue One that I want to put out there for us here soon. But anyway, it's a good book. So far, I don't know why this shot's on there. I'm still wondering if that's ever going to happen. No, not so far. Right now, it's like that's never going to happen. But I don't know. I'm only a few chapters in, so we'll see.
funny.
All right, that'll do it. And we'll get into some little canon pieces here before we close out.
Yeah. So for my book, I feel like I haven't done this in a while. I don't know.
We haven't, because Rogue One, we've just been kind of talking about different stuff.
So this is the DK book, Ultimate Star Wars, which, geez, they need to update this now. So much more with Rebels and Rogue One, and so much more content to add.
Yeah, we could move on.
And I wonder when they'll...
Well, I guarantee it. When we go to Celebration, there's probably going to be newer books out there, which I'll buy. I feel like I'm going to buy a lot of stuff.
First, we'll get our tickets.
Well, yeah.
I wonder if they will add the books in here too, which would be interesting. But anywho, today I'm talking about a location, and that location is Chancellor Palpatine's office. And his office appears in episodes 2, appears in the Clone Wars, and episode 3. Location is the Senate District on Coruscant. So we've seen this office many times in the films and in the TV show Clone Wars. And it talks about how it's on the highest level, one of the highest levels of Coruscant, in the Senate office building, which I profiled weeks back. It consists of several rooms. It's really red, as you probably remember from the films, and it's something that I remember from the Legends when it was just the expanded universe. Reading through those books, especially in the Revenge of the Sith novelization, was Palpatine has all these sculptures. He has all these artifacts in his office, and I think I'm pretty sure from the Legends books, it even described how he would have some Sith artifacts hidden in his office somewhere, or like in other secret areas, he'd have some Sith artifacts. But in the expanded universe, which is now canon because it's in this profile here, it mentions how he kept his lightsaber hidden in a sculpture in his office. Wow. I remember that in the Revenge of the Sith novelization. That's he pulled it out right before the Jedi Masters came, and it was I think you could see the sculpture in the film. I don't know,
in his office.
Yeah, it's in his office. So he pulls it out, and that's where he has kept it this entire time. And I've always kind of ever since the Legends were made Legends, I've always thought if that's still canon or not, and now it is because it mentions it right here in the book. It says one piece of sculpture on Palpatine's desk. Before I think it might have been something else, but maybe not. But it's a sculpture on his desk that secretly contains his red-bladed lightsaber. And it says then it goes on to talk about the battle he has with the Jedi Masters, about how he's used his dark side powers to fight back. So
interesting.
It is. So I'm going to watch it again now, I guess. Watch Revenge of the Sith and see look for sculptures on his desk, because I want him to be like, oh, there it is. It's in there. His lightsaber's in that statue, whatever it is. So that's pretty cool thing.
Pretty cool. One real quick one from Everything You Need to Know. Absolutely everything you need to know. I'll go Rebels here and talk about the Secret Service, which is kind of the ISB, the Imperial. What does that stand for? I can't remember. What it is. Office of Imperial Security Bureau is what it is, or Imperial Security Bureau is ISB. Agent Callus is a officer of the ISB, but pretty cool fact here. Who sets up the ISB? And the answer is Palpatine. Cunning Palpatine founds the ISB, a secret police organization, when he declares himself emperor. It is dedicated to rooting out enemies of the New Order. And then really, you got to know this. So when you're out there, just in case, how to speak in ISB spy slang.
Oh, wow.
So there's 4 words here. Auditing, which means when suspects know they're being investigated.
Okay.
You got crust busting. Crust busting. That's provoking a suspect to commit a crime. Scattering, which is interrogating a supposed innocent in hopes they react suspiciously. And then this is weird, but you have Java, which is framing a wanted suspect for a crime to make sure they are arrested.
Oh my gosh, this is horrible.
Yeah.
These are horrible
So that's
people.
spy slang for ISB if you ever have to need it.
right.
So there you go. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys listening. Of course, check us out at InsideTheForce.com. Listen and subscribe right there to iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or TuneIn Radio. He is Kryptonian1138 on Twitter. I am DCottingham21 on Twitter. Of course, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram is at Inside the Force. I think that's everything.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yes, we will be back next week for another episode of Inside the Force. For Casey Cooley.
The strongest stars have hearts of Kyber. It's a Chirrut.
Nice. Chirrut,
Chirrut.
yes, that's right. Very good.
Random but very intellectual line that he said on Jeddah there.
Yeah.
Always stuck with me.
Very. Like it.
Yep, it's good. Good.
All right. Thanks, guys. We will talk to you guys next week. He's Case.
Goodbye, everybody.
I'm Dave, and may the Force be with you.
This has been a production of the 21 Network. For more great podcasts, visit 21network.com. To view additional content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/21network. Follow us on Twitter at 21network for the latest news and updates. The 21 Network, for the fan and all of us.